The 2025 NBA playoffs are officially here. 2 months of high-stakes basketball, pressure-packed moments, and everything on the line. But before the chaos ramps up, the first round sets the tone.
So far this season. Edwards, step back three, bullseye!
Every year, there's one playoff matchup that sneaks up on everyone, and by the time it's over, we're all wondering how we didn't see it coming. This year, that matchup is the Lakers versus Timberwolves. This is more than just a battle of rosters. It's a collision of styles. The Lakers, built around the offensive brilliance of two all-time greats in Luka Doncic and LeBron James, bring elite firepower and playoff experience. The Timberwolves, led by a rising superstar in Anthony Edwards, enter the series as one of the most complete teams in the league. Efficient on offense, suffocating on defense, and deep across the board. This isn't just a series, it's a power clash. But beyond the headlines and big names, there are overlooked factors that could quietly tilt the entire series. So, here's everything you need to know before the Lakers take on the Timberwolves in what could become the series of the first round. Now, a little bit of context and rundown of the regular season before we get into how both teams match up and what to expect. For the Lakers, if you roll it back to the start of the season, nobody could have confidently predicted what was coming. They started the year with something familiar, ended it with something completely wild. Because somehow, someway, Luka Doncic is wearing purple and gold. Yeah, let that sink in. Because in what world does that happen? One of the league's brightest stars suddenly wearing the Lakers jersey mid-season? No matter what happens in this postseason, the 24-25 campaign will go down as a win for this franchise. Full stop. First, they brought in JJ Redick, rookie coach, a fresh perspective, and a bold hire. Then came the trade. Anthony Davis out, Luka in. The trade was supposed to be about the future. Build around Luka, retool the roster, and give it time.
Doncic gets inside. Reverse shot rattles around and goes in. He's got 40.
But the surprise? The future showed up early. Luka's been steady since day one. Smooth in the half court, surgical in the clutch, and suddenly, the Lakers are serious contenders again. As with any Lakers season, the drama was unavoidable. LeBron took some time away in December, physically banged up, mentally drained, and stuck in one of his worst shooting slumps of his career. Then there was the whole Dalton Connect situation. Traded to Charlotte for Mark Williams, only for the deal to get pulled back at the last second. But for every low point, there were bright spots. Austin Reaves leveled up, borderline all-star status. Dorian Finney-Smith came in and clicked immediately, giving them exactly what they needed on the wing: switchable defense, reliable shooting, and veteran IQ. And when the dust settled, the Lakers locked in third seed in the West. A 50-32 record. On paper, it looks like a typical solid season. But peel back the layers, this team isn't just solid, it's dangerous. But a closer look at the numbers tells a different story. This isn't a team built to dominate the regular season. This is a team crafted to survive the grind of the regular season and then crush the competition when stakes get higher. Their offensive rating came in at 115, which placed them 11th in the league. It's not flashy or attention-grabbing, but it's efficient, calculated, and extremely dangerous when the game slows down in the playoffs. Luka Doncic, the catalyst behind this offensive machine, transformed the Lakers into one of the hardest teams to defend in the half-court. Since he stepped on the floor in LA, the Lakers' offensive identity was reshaped.
Now it's Anunoby on Doncic. The switch again. Doncic over Towns. Oh, my!
Luka's stats alone, 28.2 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 7.5 assists per game on nearly 49% shooting, are a testament to his dominance. But it's the way he controls the game, sets the tempo, and forces defenses to adjust that has truly made the difference. The Lakers have become a team that knows how to execute when the pressure's on, and Luka has been the driving force behind that shift. Right alongside Luka, the 40-year-old LeBron James continues to defy expectations. His 24.4 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 5.2 assists on 51% shooting are not just numbers, they're proof that LeBron is aging like fine wine. This isn't the LeBron who used to carry the load for 82 games. This version knows when to conserve energy, when to play the long game, when to hit the gas. When the moment demands it, he's still one of the most dominant forces on the court. The fact that he's still putting up these kinds of numbers at 40 years old is a testament to his basketball IQ and his ability to manage his body. LeBron might not be the most explosive player anymore, but when it's crunch time, he can still turn a game around in an instant. Then there's Austin Reaves. What a transformation. This season, he evolved from a role player into a legitimate third option, averaging 20.2 points per game while shooting an astonishing 45% from three and nearly 48% overall. Reaves has become a lethal off-ball weapon. His ability to shoot efficiently while also reading defenses and spacing the floor has made him an invaluable asset for the Lakers.
With 3.5 to play here in the quarter. Bounce now to Reaves. Boy, is he open again? Some unbelievable looks.
When defenses collapse on LeBron or Luka, Reaves punishes them, making sure no one can afford to leave him open. His growth this season has been one of the biggest stories for the Lakers. And it's clear that he's not just a role player anymore, he's an essential part of their future plans. Defensively, the Lakers are not an elite unit, but they're far from a liability. Ranking 17th in the league in defensive rating might not stand out, but it's good enough to get the job done. Their net rating of plus 1.2, placing them 14th in the league, tells you everything you need to know. This team isn't built to blow you out or win games by sheer dominance. They're built to play controlled basketball, pace themselves over the course of a long season, and then rely on their star power and basketball IQ to close out the games. The Lakers know when to turn it up, when to grind out wins, and when to rely on the clutch moments that come in the postseason. This isn't a regular season powerhouse. It's a team designed for the postseason grind, with just enough shooting, depth, and star power to make a deep run when it matters most.
LeBron's in deep. LeBron needs help. He finds Luka to beat the clock. Got it!
Finishing with a third seed in the Western Conference, especially in a year as competitive as this one, is no small feat. The West was stacked, and yet the Lakers found themselves sitting near the top. This team isn't that concerned with flashy regular season numbers. They're about building for the long haul, and that's exactly what they've done. With home court advantage, a week of rests, and a first-round matchup against the Timberwolves, the stage is set. While the Lakers underwent massive changes during the season, the Timberwolves' upending transformation took place well before the start of the year. After their most successful season in 2 decades, which included a trip to the Western Conference Finals, Minnesota shocked the basketball world with a financially motivated trade in September. They sent their superstar center and second option, Karl Anthony Towns, to New York in exchange for Julius, Randle, and Donte DiVincenzo. At first, the trade seemed questionable. Both new players struggled to adjust, and the Timberwolves sat at 22 and 21 to start the season. However, a dramatic second-half surge catapulted them back into contender status, though they would have to fight from the lower half of the playoff bracket this year instead of from the top. Despite their early season struggles, the Timberwolves finished 24-25 regular season with a 49-33 record, earning the 6th seed in the Western Conference. But don't be deceived by the seeding. This team is built to wreak havoc in the postseason. Their roster is one of the most well-rounded in the league, and the player driving the team is none other than Anthony Edwards.
Edwards will drive into the lane and hammer it!
Edwards didn't just break out this season, he took over. Leading the league in three-pointers made, he posted a career-high 27.6 points per game, along with 5.7 rebounds and 4.5 assists per night. More impressive than his scoring was his efficiency, nearly 45% from field and 39.5% from beyond the arc. This wasn't just about putting up big numbers, this was calculated, explosive offense from a player who firmly placed himself in the conversation as one of the future faces of the league. The Timberwolves now find themselves riding high on Edwards' shoulders, and their championship aspirations are very much alive. But this Timberwolves team wasn't carried by one man. The second half of the season saw a resurgence from Julius Randle, who, after battling injuries and inconsistency earlier in the year, found his rhythm and closed the season strong. He averaged 18.7 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 4.7 assists per game, adding a much-needed layer of scoring and playmaking to the Timberwolves' front court. His ability to operate in space, bully switches, and provide a scoring outlet when defenses collapse on Anthony Edwards gave Minnesota the kind of versatility they'd been missing. Then there's Rudy Gobert, who once again anchored the Timberwolves' defense. Whilst his scoring numbers, 11.9 points per game, might not turn heads, his impact on the interior remains dominant as ever. Gobert hauled in 10.8 rebounds per game, altered shots, and cleaned up around the rim with his usual elite presence. His efforts played a huge role in Minnesota finishing the season with the 6th best defensive rating in the league.
4th dunk of the game for Gobert. Good contest on Fontecchio,
which contributed to their impressive +5 net rating, tied for 4th best overall. Offensively, the Timberwolves weren't just average, they were a top 10 unit, posting 115.7 points per 100 possessions. That dual threat efficiency, ranking 8th on offense and 6th on defense, is what makes them so dangerous. There are no glaring holes or obvious weak links on this team. They're versatile enough to switch up their style based on the matchup, whether that means slowing down the game, speeding it up, or grinding out wins on both ends of the floor. They're not the flashiest team, they don't get the national spotlight like the Lakers or Warriors, but the Timberwolves have quietly become one of the most complete and dangerous teams in the West. With Anthony Edwards playing like a superstar and veterans like Julius, Randle and Rudy Gobert peaking at the right time, they're not just looking to survive the playoffs, they're looking to win it all. And speaking of the two teams, there's no denying that Minnesota has been the better team over the last 6 weeks. Since March 1, the Wolves have gone on an impressive 17-4 stretch, the 4th best record in the entire league during that time. The Lakers, on the other hand, have posted a more modest 13-11 record over the same span, and that alone adds an intriguing layer to the series, shifting the balance of pressure. The teams split the regular season series 2-2, but there's a significant caveat. Only one of those games took place after the Lakers acquired Luka Doncic. All 4 matchups were low-scoring affairs, and there were no fireworks from the superstars, which means the defense has truly taken center stage in these games.
With a triple. The roller. Gobert. Reach!
However, this regular season series doesn't give us a reliable roadmap for the postseason, given the injuries and massive roster changes on both sides. Interestingly, since Luka Doncic's arrival, the Lakers have shown a preference for high-scoring games, thanks to his shot-creating ability. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves' defense remains largely unchanged, though their offense has seen some improvements. Minnesota now regularly scores over 110 points, compared to when they were averaging closer to 105. On the other hand, the Lakers now boast an elite offense, especially with the influx of shot creators alongside Doncic, giving them a new dimension that they didn't have earlier in the season. In terms of previous matchups, the only tangible thing we can rely on for this series is Luka Doncic himself. As JJ Redick pointed out, Doncic's experience against the Timberwolves in last year's Western Conference Finals will be crucial. In that series, as a Dallas Maverick, Doncic averaged 32.4 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 8.2 assists, leading Dallas to a 4-1 victory. Who could forget how he shredded the Wolves' defense, especially that iconic 3-point dagger over Rudy Gobert, with a bit of trash talk to go with it.
Doncic maneuvers for the lead.
The Timberwolves might still be haunted by that performance, and Doncic could very well be in a position to torment them again in this year's playoffs. So, what do we have in this first round series? A matchup where there's virtually no precedence for what's to come. Both teams have drastically changed since their regular season meetings, and the season series offers little insight into how this series will play out. The one thing we can be certain of, however, is that both teams are likely to be at full strength, with no major injuries to their star players, setting the stage for an unpredictable and exciting playoff showdown. But, barring any injury concerns or key players missing games in the series will be won based on the strengths and weaknesses of each team. Starting with the Lakers, we've got to talk about their strength. The heart of this Lakers team lies in the elite scoring and playmaking abilities of their core trio, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reaves. This team is undeniably led by this formidable trio, and the Lakers will only go as far as the offensive prowess takes them. Even though James, Doncic, and Reaves have played just 21 games together, JJ Redick will be relying on the three of them to know exactly what buttons to push to keep the Lakers' offense running smoothly through the playoffs. As far as offense goes, each of them has the ability to take over a game, and in the postseason, that kind of versatility and firepower can make all the difference. Starting with Reaves, the third option. This season has seen him be asked to do it all. They've asked him to be the lead playmaker, a defensive stopper, a number one option, number two option, third fiddle, a shot maker, and a shot creator.
He's still at the other end as Reaves shoots a three. Got it! Yes, sir! AR.
No player on the roster has had their role change more than Reaves. As the Lakers have gone through numerous iterations of their team, Reaves has stepped up in a variety of roles. His ability to adjust to whatever the team needs has been key in their success this season. Yet, through his ever-changing role, Reaves has not only seamlessly adapted on the fly, but he's also put together a career year in the process. Across the board, points, rebounds, assists, steals, and is coming off the most productive regular season of his 4-year NBA career. He posted career-best averages of 20.2 points, 5.8 assists, 4.5 rebounds, 1.1 steals, and 2.7 three-point field goals made per game on 46% shooting from the field, 37.7% from three, and 87.7% from the line. In his last 10 games, Reaves has stepped up even further, delivering 23.6 points and 4.7 assists per game, with healthy splits of 52% from field, 46% from deep, and almost 90% from the free-throw line. If he continues with that kind of production for the Lakers, it will be extremely valuable. Then, of course, you have the king. Year 22, and LeBron James is showing no signs of slowing down, despite what many would expect. Even though he has relatively modest offensive averages over the last 10 games, posting 21.9 points and 6.9 assists per game, with shooting splits of 49% from field, 34% from three, and 88% from the line. His numbers are still outstanding.
Gold on each, even more impressive than his.
And everyone knows the NBA's all-time leading scorer is capable of so much more. In fact, it's hard to imagine a scenario where James doesn't level up for the playoffs. His scoring will likely improve, and as usual, he'll facilitate plays. This gives the Lakers two insane offensive weapons in Reaves and LeBron. However, perhaps the most fantastic thing about this team is that Reaves and James alone do not have to carry an immense offensive burden, because they also have Luka Doncic. Without a doubt, Luka will be the offensive engine of this team if the Lakers are to beat the Wolves. Since joining the Lakers, Doncic has averaged 28.2 points, 8.1 rebounds, and 7.5 assists in 28 games. Over his last 10 games, he's upped that to 29.9 points and 7 assists per game, shooting 49% from field, 41% from three, and 81% from the line. But it's not just about his scoring, it's about how he's transformed the team. Since Luka's debut, the Lakers have taken 47.1% of their shots from three-point range, ranking third in the league over the last 9 weeks of the season. This is a significant jump from their prior 39.6% rate. It's one of the main reasons the Lakers' offense has skyrocketed, with the best offensive rating in the league over the last 10 games of the season. Doncic's remarkable talent raises the Lakers' ceiling offensively, in part because he's elevated the potential value of their shots. Over the last 9 weeks, he's led the team with 102 three-pointers, while also assisting on another 92.
Bin threes. Luka makes a move. Lob. There you go.
The Lakers outscored their opponents by 4.9 points per game from beyond the arc in 28 games he played in, compared to being outscored by 3.1 points per game from three-point range when he wasn't on the court. But the truly scary part about Luka is when he gets going himself. When Doncic is hitting his signature step-back threes, there's not much a defense can do to stop him. His style is completely unique, patient to the point of frustrating defenders, and so improvisational that you never see the next move coming. The last time Minnesota faced Doncic in a postseason setting was the 2024 Western Conference Finals, where they were eliminated in just 5 games. Doncic was dominant in that series, averaging 32.4 points, 9.6 rebounds, 8.2 assists, and 2.2 steals, while shooting 47.3% from the field and 43.4% from three, against the Timberwolves team with the best defensive rating during the regular season. This year's Wolves defense is not as good as last year, ranking 6th in the same category with a defensive rating of 110.8, which should have Doncic licking his chop. So when you put it all together, it's hard not to be excited by the Lakers trio of Doncic, James, and Reaves. The potential they bring in a postseason series is undeniable, and they could pose serious problems for any team standing in their way. Plus, when it comes to playoff experience, the Lakers have a clear edge, and it's not even close. Between LeBron James and Luka Doncic, you're talking about an extensive resume of playoff games, multiple finals runs, and a decade plus of clutch time mastery.
Murray's had 7 threes in each of his last 2 games. Oh, what a pass! Doncic, perfection!
With James as the number 1 all-time playoff points scorer, and Doncic as the number 2 player in playoff scoring average, their combined experience and basketball IQ don't just show up in the box scores. They control the pace, dictate momentum, and punish young teams that make mistakes. When you pair that with the Lakers' polished half-court offense, you've got a team that's built for playoff basketball. This poses a serious problem for Minnesota, who despite their talent are still relatively new to this. While last year's Timberwolves made a surprise run, some of that roster is now gone. This year's young core is essentially making their real playoff debut, and the big question is whether they're ready for the mental chess that's coming their way. But as much as the Lakers have real advantages they can make use of, they also have weaknesses that the Wolves can exploit. For one, their size. Since the rescinded trade for Williams, LA's size has been questioned, and for good reason. Without Anthony Davis anchoring the middle, there's a noticeable void in rim protection and physical presence in the paint. They're going to have defensive problems, and they're going to have rebounding problems. But how much of a problem is that depends on the matchups. Against a team like Minnesota, with size and athleticism across positions, it becomes a real concern.
Edwards with the push. McDaniels all the way to the hole. Got it.
LA has tried to make up for it with a mix of bodies, switching coverages, and crowding the paint when needed. There was a stretch when proved they were capable, holding down the top defensive rating in the league for a significant stretch after the Doncic trade. However, that has now flipped. Over the last 10 games of the season, the Lakers have dropped to middle of the pack defensively. Their rating of 115.3 ranks 15th in the NBA on that end of the court. The truth is, they don't have much on an interior defense. Opponents have been able to attack downhill, and when the help defense comes, it often leaves shooters wide open. And the perimeter defense hasn't exactly been airtight either. There are stretches where it's inconsistent, reactive, and a step slow. That combination, soft inside and shaky outside, can turn into a defensive meltdown if the energy isn't locked in from the jump. Then there's the question of energy. Can the Lakers keep up with Minnesota's relentless energy? This is a Wolves team that outran and outworked the defending champs last year. They swarmed the ball, crashed the glass, and applied pressure for all 48 minutes. If LA can't match that tempo, especially with an older core, the Wolves could wear them down, slowly and methodically, until that half-court precision just isn't enough. The biggest weakness for the Lakers is in the front court, and the Timberwolves may be able to exploit that. However, Los Angeles has enough firepower on the offensive end, led by their big trio, to potentially overcome Minnesota's relentless pressure. As long as the Lakers can weather the storm and capitalize on their strengths, especially the offensive firepower of Doncic, James, and Reaves, they can still come out on top in this series.
James drives the closeout and punches it home.
Let's now flip the script and talk about the Timberwolves, because here's where the irony kicks in. The Lakers' biggest weakness, it just so happens to be Minnesota's biggest strength. Their massive, physical, and versatile front court. Between Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, and Naz Reid, the Timberwolves arguably boast one of the deepest front courts in the league. And the scary part is, they all bring different weapons to the table. And if the Lakers can't keep Randle away from the rim, keep Gobert off the boards, and chase Reid off the three-point line, this series could get out of hand fast. That leaves JJ Redick with a critical decision. Does he trust Jackson Hayes in a series built around front court muscle, or will he try go small, space the floor, and run Minnesota's big men off the court? Starting with Randle, his post-injury return has been huge. Since coming back, he's looked like the best version of himself in a Wolves uniform, putting up 18.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 4.8 assists per game, while hitting 42% from deep. If that level of play holds, he could be a consistent second option behind Edwards, something Minnesota has desperately needed in recent playoff runs. And while Gobert is known for his defense, it's his offense that could swing this series. He struggled for much of the 24-25 season, posting career lows in scoring, rebounding, and blocks. But lately, something's changed. In his last 10 games, Gobert has been dominant, averaging 19.4 points and 13.6 rebounds. That said, Gobert's presence in the paint might be the single biggest matchup problem for the Lakers in this series. His ability to contest shots at the rim, clean up misses, and be a lob threat on offense gives Minnesota a serious edge.
In that game, Minnesota only had 20 assists in that game, but him passing.
Oh, up top!
And then there's Naz Reid, another big body who can space the floor and punish mismatches. He might not start, but he'll absolutely play starter-level minutes. especially if LA can't find an answer for his blend of size and skill. Yes, the Wolves were inconsistent during the regular season, but this isn't about how they looked in January. This is playoff basketball. And right now, on paper in recent form, Minnesota has the kind of personnel that could make life hell for the Lakers. They're long, they're physical, and they've got momentum. After the Anthony Davis trade, LA lost a lot of its size advantage. They're still talented, no doubt, but Minnesota, with Gobert and Randle clicking, suddenly has the size and strength to overcome them inside. Now, let's move to the second major advantage the Timberwolves hold, their two-way wings and bench depth. Everyone talks about stars in the playoffs, and rightfully so, but it's often the supporting cast that decides these tight matchups. And Minnesota's supporting cast? Seriously underrated. Guys like Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Donte DiVincenzo might not grab headlines, but they impact winning in a big way. McDaniels is a lockdown defender who can switch across positions. Alexander-Walker brings shot creation and energy. DiVincenzo gives them toughness, shooting, and playoff experience. These are the types of players that swing quarters and games when stars need a breather.
Here he is off the wide action, and DiVincenzo pulls it and laces the deep three.
Defensively, this team has been elite since the All-Star break, posting a 113.8 rating that ranks top 10 in the league. And offensively, they've got just enough firepower from their wings to stay dangerous. They move the ball, shoot it well, and play unselfishly. But of course, no real conversation about Minnesota's chances is complete without talking about Anthony Edwards, the undeniable engine of this team. This year, he took another leap, a career-high 27.6 points per game, the most made threes in the entire league. And he's not just piling up empty stats, he's doing it with purpose, confidence, and a flair for the dramatic that's made him one of the NBA's most electrifying young stars. And now, JJ Redick faces perhaps his toughest defensive assignment, figuring out how to slow down Ant-Man. Easier said than done, because Edwards is a three-level scorer who thrives in chaos. He'll take a bump and still finish at the rim.
4 of 9 for Denny Avdia.
Edwards a foot behind the line.
He'll step back and bury a three in your face. He'll fly down the lane in transition, or coil off a screen and knock down a mid-range jumper without breaking stride. He can work on the ball or off it, in isolation or within the flow of the offense. And that makes him almost impossible to scheme out of a game. We've already seen him dominate on the big stage. Just last year, he led the Wolves to series wins over the defending champion Nuggets and the high-powered Suns, putting the league on notice. Now the lights are bright again, and if the Timberwolves are going to pull this off, it'll be because Edwards goes toe-to-toe with the likes of LeBron and Luka and refuses to back down. And don't forget, he closed out the regular season on fire. Apart from one quiet game against Brooklyn, Edwards was lighting teams up, showing the playoff form is very much in his back pocket. So while Minnesota's size, depth, and defense are real advantages, this series might ultimately come down to which superstar shines the brightest. And the Wolves are betting that Ant-Man is ready for the moment. But no matter how talented the Timberwolves are, the cracks in their armor are real, and the Lakers will be looking to exploit every single one. Let's start with Julius Randle. Yes, he's a powerful presence in the front court, but defensively, he's shaky. His mobility is limited, he's slow on rotations, and he struggles to switch to quicker players. That's a major concern in a playoff series where every defensive lap gets magnified. The Lakers know this, and you can bet they'll target him in pick and rolls and force him into uncomfortable positions. And if Randle gets exposed, that puts extra stress on Gobert to protect the rim and cover ground, which could wear him down over the course of the series. Then there's the offensive inconsistency. Randle has a history of shrinking under the playoff spotlight. For all his regular season production, his postseason numbers are hard to ignore. Just 34% from field and 28% from three for his playoff career. If Edwards gets bottled up by the Lakers' defense, and Randle is expected to step up as a second option, can Minnesota really count on him to deliver?
McDaniels behind his back to Randle.
But the concerns don't stop there. Even with Edwards emerging as a superstar, the Wolves are still heavily reliant on him to carry the scoring load. That's a lot to put on one player, especially one still early in his career. And while Edwards can score at all three levels, he's increasingly leaned on his outside shooting. In fact, he led the league in made threes this season. Impressive, sure, but also risky. Because in the playoffs, defenses close out harder, space shrinks, and those threes aren't quite as open. What happens if he starts bricking a few? Can the Wolves still hang? The Timberwolves are hungry and have size, depth, and star power, but the Lakers are calculated. They've been through playoff battles and know how to exploit mismatches and capitalize on mistakes. This series isn't just about talent, it's about execution under pressure. Now, when it comes to playoff experience, the Lakers hold a clear and commanding edge. LeBron James brings 2 decades of deep playoff runs and 4 championship rings. He's been through every scenario imaginable and knows exactly how to navigate the pressure. Luka Doncic, fresh off leading the Mavericks to the finals last year, has already shown he can carry a team through a brutal postseason battle. These are the kind of players who elevate in the half court, in late game situations when every possession could swing a series. That's where experience matters most, and LA has its in abundance. Minnesota, on the other hand, is still building its playoff identity. Anthony Edwards had a breakout postseason last year, knocking off both the Nuggets and the Suns. He's fearless, explosive, and ready for the moment.
Edwards will drive into the lane and hammer it!
There's also Dante DiVincenzo, who brings championship pedigree from his title run with the Warriors in 2022 and adds a steady veteran presence to this young core. But the truth is, the Timberwolves are still relatively new to this level of intensity. The Lakers, by contrast, bring a wealth of experience. And that kind of playoff seasoning can tilt a series, and in a close matchup, it just might. That said, for the Lakers to win, they need to let Luka control the tempo of the game and allow LeBron to take advantages of mismatches, particularly in the half court. Austin Reaves has to step up as a reliable third option, providing consistent scoring and playmaking. They also have to stay composed in tight moments and dominate in clutch situations. Just as important, they must win the transition defense battle. Minnesota thrives on fast breaks, and if LA can slow them down, it could change the course of the series. For the Timberwolves to win, they need to bring physicality from the start, especially through Julius, Randle, and Rudy Gobert, who can wear down the Lakers inside. Offensively, Anthony Edwards has to be aggressive early, setting the tone and maintaining the pressure throughout the game. Defensively, the Wolves can't afford to let LeBron coast, and also forcing him to defend on every possession could drain his energy and slow down LA's offense when it matters most. All in all, this series promises to be a thrilling clash in the West, with both teams having their own strengths and weaknesses. The Timberwolves are as dangerous as any team in the league when they're firing on all cylinders. The Lakers, however, have LeBron and Luka, making them an instant title contender. Can Minnesota overcome the myth of playoff inexperience? Or will LeBron and Luka deliver a masterclass of their own? Let us know in the comments who's taking it and in how many games. Is it the Lakers in 5? Wolves in 7? Drop your predictions below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. We'll be following the entire playoff journey, breaking it all down every step of the way. Until next time, keep your eyes on this series. It could be something special.